He's a tough negotiator, but he is also a deal maker.
Well, there she is. That's the EU President von der Leyen. I don't know what her first name is, but that's her first comments about tough negotiator, but a deal maker. Trump goes to Scotland. Trump plays golf. Trump makes big tariff deal. How many of us on our vacations are doing that? Good for him. That's some of the big news over the weekend. I'm Randy Tobler. Stephanie Bell in, of course, John Marsh, and Drake wearing his, what jersey?
I want your best guess here. What jersey do you
I don't
think
know.
this
It's
is?
blue. It looks Ramsey to me.
It's my Kurt Warner jersey.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah, that's right. 13. I don't know.
Our listeners will appreciate it.
Living in the past, are you, Drake?
Wow.
Living in the past. Wow.
1989.
Yeah. Yeah. So this was a big deal. 15% EU tariffs. And she basically said in other comments, this was the best we could do with August 1st bearing down on us, Stephanie. And there's others that are coming due. There are only a few short days here. So he's meeting with Keir Starmer to firm up some of the UK tariff that were announced, a month or so ago, and, get some refinements there. And still talking with China. We don't know what's going to happen with China.
Yeah, I mean, the hope was that the dominoes would fall a lot quicker than they have. But it seems to be that he's kind of got a little bit more momentum right now, and that we might see some action. And I think it's also nice that, with every new announcement, we're not seeing huge swings in the market, and instead the market has been hitting record highs.
And you'll be reporting on that at 8:25, of course, with the morning market report. So far, the futures that I saw before I came in looked pretty good. We'll have to see if that stands in the wake of this deal. Like a lot of deals, I mean, come on. How many times are you buying a car and you just start to walk outside? You just say, I can't do this. You head towards the door, and salesperson, hey, wait a minute, we can talk, right? So that's what's going on, right? That's the way deals work. I mean, you know more about that being an attorney probably than anyone, right? I mean, that's the way deals work. They tend to be last minute.
Yeah,
when it's a pretty big, momentous deal like that.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think like lawyers are humans too, and so like it's not that you procrastinate, but that looming trial date, it's like you can get a deal or risk it all and go to trial, and a lot of cases settle in the waning moments before the big hearing or the big trial. And
not certain that this. I heard Charlie Gasparino from the Fox Business Network talking about this, and I think a lot of people are a little bit. They're waiting on this, like Jerome Powell, sort of just judging, just saying, I'm not going to make a judgment now, but we're just going to hold judgment, because let's be honest. I mean, she said in her remarks that this is going to maybe open up some other markets for us. Meaning retailers distributors and manufacturers over there who are wanting to sell to the U.S. maybe have been selling at $1, whatever that is in pounds, for a given lot of widgets, now might start beating the door at Brazil or South Asia or whatever, and saying, hey, I'll sell my widgets to you. Maybe I'll sell them for $99 because even with the tariffs, I'm still coming out with a better deal. So that's something that over long term, I think we're going to, medium and long term, we'll have to keep an eye on. I think it's going to take economists to figure out how this all sorts out. But this isn't just as simple as, the distributors and the manufacturers are all going to, the capitalists here in town, in America, are going to eat this. I mean, I think that, there'll be a lot more said about this. John, this story ain't over yet.
No, not by a long shot, but, sounds like things are progressing. How's that for a non-committal response?
No, and who can argue with what is close to a fairness type of an equation here, right? I mean, I think we all knew in April when he said, it's going to be 100%, it's going to be 80%. I think we all knew that was the way Trump deals, right? Shoot for Mars and you might get out of orbit. That's the way a lot of negotiations go anyway. Maybe, I guess he taught us with the art of the deal. Maybe he didn't need to teach people that negotiate a lot. But that said, I for one have said, look, if EU is going to put a 10 or 15 or 20% tariff on our automobiles, well, for people working in American auto plants that are making vehicles that maybe wanted to be purchased by Europeans, why are we giving it to them? Why are we letting their stuff come in here for zero? And we've got this trade barrier. I mean, so I think a fairness type of a tariff, most people are like, I can live with that. I can deal with that.
Yeah, and I mean, and I can live with that if my portfolio is also doing really well. I mean, I can live with the because that was the big threat was, oh, these tariffs are going to cause the market to tank and all of this. But I think, early on, really early on when all of this discussion started, I read a journal article, and they were covering someone who had been trying to get into the EU and sell their things for years and said, no, with all of their policies, I can't do it. I can't do it. And so they were actually saying, I don't see why we haven't done this already, because it is unfair.
And there's non-tariff barriers, too, like you say,
Correct.
that people put up to, right? I mean, in terms of either specifications or something like that. So we have that even domestically. People that manufacture Missouri goods, sometimes they're not even going to go to California because, you manufacture a Missouri good that, I don't know, it comes in an organic paper package, but there's cellophane wrapping on it. So it's got to have the California toxic, whatever that law is. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everything in California has the toxic label on it. I've rarely seen something that doesn't have the. Well, that's basically a tax on a manufacturer, even domestically. And the equivalent kind of thing happened the other way. So we'll have to see what happens. Trump doesn't like windmills. We'll talk about that as well. Did you see the other thing we have to talk about? We're going to talk about it at the 835 block. There was this stabbing in Michigan. When was that? Friday-ish, I think. Friday, Saturday.
Walmart.
And there was a hero. There was a hero in this Traverse, Michigan, town of 12,000, who basically held the guy at bay. We'll talk about that and contrast that with a god-awful thing that happened in Cincinnati during right outside a jazz festival, and the Reds were playing a home game. Interesting about crime and lack of punishment, maybe as part of the root cause. And then this terrible wreck that killed a 16-year-old cyclist, John?
Nine-year-old
boy on the Katy Trail, right? It's some kind of a crossing.
Yeah, it happened on the Katy Trail Friday evening at basically in North Jefferson City is where the old trail is, and there was a county road crossing there, and a woman in a truck from Holt Summit came around through the intersection, and bicyclists were crossing, and there was a lot of limited visibility, and the kid was hit and died at the scene.
I was telling John, but before we got going here, when I went down to, we talked about Railwood Golf Course, they're south of in Holt Summit, and I told my wife when we went down there over the 4th of July, there's a crossing right there when you turn onto whatever the road is that goes north-south onto the county road leading to the golf course, and about, I don't know, it seems to me like maybe 10, 20 yards in is a Katy Trail. And I've never been there. I wasn't aware that it crossed there, but it's sort of bushy around the trail.
Yeah.
And
I say the brush is a lot worse now.
And I'm thinking, my gosh, this is just an accident waiting to happen. And then I read this story. We were out of town. We were in NOLA, New Orleans, over the weekend. But I thought, holy cow, man, we got to do something about warning people or do something.
Well, and there was a discussion, I think, in one of the articles I saw, John, about there have been calls by people there. Apparently, there are 2 crossings in that area that people have raised concerns about before. So I think hopefully they're coming up with a plan to make sure people know that they need to slow down and keep an eye out.
I didn't stop and slow down and take a look, but there were people there was a family that I recall that was sort of off their bikes, straddling their bikes. So I think who has the right of way there? Is it the cyclist or is it the motorist? I don't know.
Well, I think your cyclist would generally have the right of way, but I
would
know
think
some of the cyclists that were there after the fact said there's no signage there, especially for people who are unfamiliar with the area. Yeah. And the brush has really grown up like it has everywhere else this summer and really limits your field of view.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. This is so tragic. 9 years old. Holy cow. Yeah, just riding his bicycle, for crying out loud, So be careful. Be attentive when you're driving. I think let's be honest, we have so many more distractions. Even if you're on your hands free, your processing and your thinking is distracted because you're thinking about something else other than totality of the road and, the landscape around the road around you. It's easy. I mean, it happens to all of us. So be careful.
Especially some people, somebody might be new to the Katy Trail and doesn't know the drill. And you'd think, you were just on the old railroad right away, that it wouldn't even intersect with county roads. But it does, and farm lanes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't get down there very often, and I've been there a couple of times, but I'm totally unfamiliar. I just got on it and thought, okay. The last time I was there, we were taking family photos, and a car is literally driving on the Katy
Oh,
Trail.
no.
Yeah, and they come up to one of the big wood barriers, John,
Yeah.
and
Sammy told me about
it is
on their way back yesterday.
delicious.
Yeah. All right, we have a lot to talk about this morning. Glad you're with us. 573-874-9390. If you want to call in, it's 800-529-5572. We are Wake Up Missouri. Glad you're with us, family. We'll be back with the Daily DC Rundown in a few, about 4 minutes.
You're listening to Wake Up Missouri.
J.D. Vance would be a great nominee. And if, I think if he decides he wants to do that. And so, I think he's doing a great job as vice president. He's a close friend, and I hope he intends to do it. I know it's kind of early, but...
Well, there's Marco Rubio and Laura Trump on J.D. Vance in 28. Here's Stephanie with the Daily DC Rundown.
And that's fresh off the heels of Laura Trump saying that she's not going to run and that she's going to stick with her Fox News stuff, which is, I think, good.
Her co-chair of the RNC is going to run, though, right? Michael Whatley.
Yes, and, J.D. Vance, he's doing a great job. And I think if... it would be so interesting not to have one of those huge jungle primaries again and everyone kind of coalescing behind kind of an agreed upon candidate. And right now it appears that person is J.D. Vance. He's got, we're only 6 months into the term. So we could, there's definitely things could happen before then. But right now it seems to be he's kind of, while other folks have made mistakes in the Trump administration, he seems to be on a path where folks are really enjoying his service.
On 28, though, you're right. It's going to be a catfight on the Democrat side. So why not have solidarity on the right and in the MAGA movement to just say, hey, stand there and watch them just, shoot themselves, circular firing squad. No
doubt with no incumbent, there's going to be multiple people on that stage, but it'd be nice at least if we didn't have to have the varsity and the JV, when we have so many candidates that we got
16,
two stages. Okay. Other things that are going on. It's been in the news, of course, about Gaza and some of the things that are going on there. Particularly, there's been a lot about hunger. Over the weekend, multiple countries airdropped food into Gaza. That's Israel, followed by Jordan and the UAE. We've also got trade news. Of course, Trump struck a deal with the EU on Sunday. It'll set 15% tariffs. He's also, as part of these deals, he's getting these concessions of additional investment in the U.S. He said the EU will purchase $150 billion in U.S. energy and make additional investments worth $600 billion. That was kind of the deal with Japan as well. He is now going to meet with the British Prime Minister while he is on his Scotland golfing vacation. So potentially some more tariff talks in the news. Of course, the current deadline that he has set is Friday. And so a lot of pressure looming for the countries that haven't reached a deal yet.
That was the deadline with the can has been kicked down the road once already, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. We are also hearing potentially more rescissions are coming, Randy. I know
I like that.
Well, we got the quote-unquote big rescissions package, which I think ultimately, what did we learn? It was
$9 billion.
13 cents out of every $100 or something, $100 of federal. So a lot of people are saying we need more rescissions. Russell Vogt is saying that he apparently has the authority to do these pocket rescissions, potentially not having to put another bill through Congress, but is able to kind of pull back some of the money that might have been promised but not yet spent. And that's stirring up a lot of debate.
OMB guy?
Yeah,
wow.
OMB. So also, as we look toward 2026 and the midterms and potentially 2028, Trump, the polling is not good for him. And I think the polling influences his decision-making. Certainly, I think he's hoping with some of these big wins that number will bump up. But in the last week, his polling is the lowest it's been. They're saying that maybe it's due to independence and his handling of issues like immigration, but also there's a new poll out from Emerson College that found 51% of registered voters disapprove of his handling of the Epstein files.
Yeah.
So you wonder, is that putting additional pressure on it? Certainly, it's caused him a lot of frustration.
You better get out there. You better just get it out there and get over whatever pain and whatever spin the media wants to put on it. Just get past it.
Don't hold your breath, Randy. I think he's held out this long. I don't think he's just going to drop all the files. And certainly there are some, there are other entities involved, like the courts we've heard. That, there need to be redactions. There's minors involved, potentially, pornography that can't be released. So I don't think that's coming out anytime soon. But he's going to have to. I think if he can make some big progress on these tariff deals this week, potentially, at least on the media side, we can start talking about something else.
We've been talking about the tariffs a lot and what they mean and what they mean for you. Well, Aaron Hedlund, who's the chief economist of the National Economic Advisory Council for the president, will be in. He's, of course, with Show Me mainly, but now he's on loan to the president. And so he'll be in this Friday. There's only a couple spots left. So log on to showmeinstitute.org and sign up. If it says that there's no spots left, don't believe that yet. Just email them or call them, okay? Because we want to see you on August 1st here in Lamone Industrial Center. Back with Crime and Punishment in a minute.
Has America been fair to Donald Trump? The people
I was very troubled by a couple of incidents that happened over the last few days. Welcome into Wake Up Missouri. Hope you had a good weekend. Weather's going to be, I guess, more hot and humid coming our way. When things get hot and humid, it seems like people do crazier things than they will otherwise do. I mean, they'll do crazy things anyway. And I don't know how hot and humid it was in Cincinnati. But did you see this thing that happened, I guess it was yesterday morning, maybe Saturday night, late, Sunday morning? There was this altercation that the police said started with a verbal altercation. That's all we know now. When, police union official and others have talked about it in Cincinnati. So there was a Reds home game and a jazz festival going on. And this is apparently a national jazz festival that draws in a lot of people from all over the country. And then there's this video that's gone viral on X, and it is just, maybe we can clean it up a little bit and play some of it. But the guy is basically cell phoning this. And he's going, Well, what's happening is there's a white guy who's taken to the ground and repeatedly kicked, punched by 4 or 5 black guys. And then there's a black gal that gets in on the action. The guy is just pummeled. He's down on the ground. He's shielding his head. He's in the fetal position. He's a balding guy. I don't know how old he is. He's probably maybe 50. What do you think, Drake? 50-ish?
Yeah, it looked 55, 50.
And he doesn't look like real old, but not real young, right? So probably middle-aged guy. Okay. And he's just trying to defend. He's just in the fetal position. They just keep kicking him. I mean, like the toe of the assailant's foot in his face. Just like, get in there and just make sure that the arc of my foot gets in this guy's face. Just pummeling him. He's punch drunk. He gets up with the help of someone who finally helps him up, comes in, and then he falls down because he's punch drunk. I mean, the guy's concussed at that point. Well, then there's a woman who's sort of you see her in and around this 2-minute video in a flowered black dress. See this stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. So clearly, I would guess maybe they've either had a night out or they've gone to the jazz festival or something, because, he's dressed in a polo and she's dressed in a nice little summer skirt, And as things are sort of beginning, you think, to settle down. By the way, there's a third guy in additional footage that's come out who was injured in the same kind of a way. It's just he wasn't in this particular video. Another white guy. And we don't know if this woman's a girlfriend of his or whatever, but she appeals to someone and is trying to push them out of the way. Meanwhile, as another woman, a black woman, is coming up from her back to try to get her, she grabs this woman who's trying to push one of the assailants away and like, hey, stop it. And another guy comes in from in front of her, and I mean cold cocks her. She's down, her head hits the concrete, and she is laying there. Think of a mannequin. Think of a mannequin with eyes laying there on the ground. She's motionless, blood dripping out of the side of her mouth, and she's motionless. And one of the people there tries to pick her up. She's limp. I don't think she died. But and I didn't see her seizing in this, but I've seen people who have fallen like this, and you can have a seizure from this immediate trauma. I didn't see this. And I just thought, first of all, so later on in the comments, one of the police union leaders says, this is very interesting because we're going to compare and contrast this to what happened in Traverse, Michigan. The president of Cincinnati's Fraternal Order of Police, by the way, as of late last night, the crime is up 27%, violent crime. The numbers are astounding and stunning in Cincinnati under some blue leadership. But this guy was saying, how do you not call 911? How do you not try to render some aid? You have a woman that's knocked unconscious. This is the president of the police union. It's just crazy, he says, that we live in a society that people would rather take a video than actually try to stop something from happening. Pretty disgusting. Now, you compare and contrast this to the stabbing with a pocket knife by a guy in Walmart who had a lot of priors, by the way, in a Walmart in Traverse City, Michigan. And this hero named Derek Perry, by the way, the guy stabbing everyone was a white guy, and this guy, black dude with a gun, in the video, he's standing there like holding this guy like, put it down, pointing his gun at him. Now, there's a couple of differences here. One is Cincinnati, big urban center, clearly blue. And the police chief and the mayor have been under fire for rampant crime. What can we say? I don't know about Cincinnati, but what can we speculate? Large urban city, probably no guns, anti-gun and defund the police and everything. Traverse City is about, 12,000? And this guy with a gun, guess who took care? Now, the police in Traverse City were there within 3 minutes, so good for them. But they're not rarely going to be there at the moment it happens, right? I mean, that's just not going to happen. They did a good job. So what's the difference here? One community, a little smaller community, is sort of like, our expectation is you're not going to pull this kind of crap, and if you do, it's not going to work out well for you. Exactly. The other city, people are joining in. You can imagine a verbal altercation. Okay, maybe the white guy said something racial or did something or made a comment. And okay, in most instances, most man versus man, it would be mano y mano. You duke it out. I heard what you said. Oh, you made a comment about my lady's skirt. Oh, okay, and you fight it out, and that's the end of it. It's become commonplace.
Not in this day and age.
No, it's become commonplace. You're right, John.
Well, we're lucky, people didn't pull out guns in this altercation because that seems to be the MO lately.
But had someone had a gun and started saying, "Hey, I'm going to fire if you keep this."
But we just had it in Columbia. Wasn't it like a road rage or verbal altercation where people pulled out a gun?
No, you're right.
In the McDonald's parking lot in broad daylight and started shooting?
But I just get the sense that there's this permissive attitude in big cities that, hey, it's okay to do this. What's going to happen to these people? I think the word gets out in big, urban, blue jurisdictions. I know one of those nearby.
And it's
not
crazy
that big, but big.
I think in one instance, people who are capturing some of this stuff, it is helpful, right? If there aren't other cameras around, because, you kind of want to get who's doing the bad stuff and get the bad guys on film. But at the same time, some people are just doing it for the entertainment value. And we saw, what was it, after a shooting on campus, there was the person with their coffee and not rendering any help. And these people, they weren't getting any help.
Walking by,
Yeah, and was like, oh, I'm going to video this for my
And there's a wounded woman
media.
laying on the grass. Yeah. So it raises interesting sociologic and psychological issues to me. But I don't know. I hate to say this, but I'd like to think that even had this been going on in Cincinnati, and if I was walking by, I would have tried to intervene. On the other hand, I think many people, tell me if I'm wrong, 573-874-9390, many people now realize that if you do something in sort of a citizen cop kind of a way, I don't trust that I won't be the one in court having to hire Jennifer Bukowski to defend me because I'm white and I attacked someone of color, even though someone of color was kicking another guy mercilessly. I just don't trust.
Especially if you were exercising your Second Amendment rights and had to shoot somebody.
I just don't trust the justice system to be able to parse out the difference between right and wrong and good guy and bad guy. Now, that's my theory. Am I right or wrong?
I think
defender of the justice system, Stephanie Bell.
I think ultimately the justice system gets it right. That doesn't mean that you're going to have to face, the legal system, and that obviously is expensive, and then it's in the media and all of that. But I think so. I do trust the justice system. But I do think you're right in that, that people who normally would have intervened and tried to be a helper have the second thought that you're having. Maybe I should just go the other way, right? Because I don't want to somehow get mixed up in this.
There are reasons.
End up being the next victim of it.
Exactly. Well, that too.
I tend to stop and at least stop and say, can I help when there's a thing at the side of the road, a medical emergency or a crash, right? I don't want to ever get in the way of first responders. So it's a tough call. But being a doc, I'll stop and say, hey, is there anything I can do? Normally they're there and everything's cool, and I'm just too many chefs spoil the soup. But I can tell you, I've had conversations. There are many doctors, and I don't blame them, many people in the medical profession, NPs, PAs, who will not stop because they don't trust that if they do something and they do their very best, someone needs a tracheostomy. Oh, let's see, back in residency, I remember the Bic pen thing. You take the pen and you can poke a hole in and get people can at least breathe, like an emergency tray. But I've not done that in a while. I'm not doing it because if something goes wrong, even though I did my best, Stephanie's going to be, not Stephanie, but one of her friends are going to be suing me. So people are afraid that if they do a good faith effort, whether it's in a I won't say vigilante kind of a way, but let's say vigilante, or a good Samaritan kind of a way, that somehow it's not going to work out well for good people doing the right thing out of good faith. But if it doesn't just go perfectly like a Disney movie, and you say it's going to work out okay. Maybe it's going to work out okay in terms of the final judgment, Steph. But I'm sorry, I don't think if I shoot someone because they're kicking someone in the, mercilessly, that, I don't think I'm going to get a public defender. I'm going to be ruined. And that's the problem. Our justice system is not just all the time. That's my motion. If anyone wants to second it or say, Randy, you're out of your ever-loving mind, let us know. 573-874-9390.
Well, anybody's ever taken a concealed carry course, I mean, they insist from the get-go that this is your last possible means of defense, and be ready to be completely caught up in the court system, even if you were the good guy.
Stuff.
It's just wrong. Look, I would be willing to concede that, yes, you should be very, very careful. You should know that this is a serious deal when you get involved and start being a police officer, trying to be a good citizen. But when the police officers continually do their job and bring these people in, and the prosecutors and the judges, and maybe they're just saying, well, that's the law. It's the legislators that are saying you only got to pay 80% of your time in prison. And it's the legislators that say there's no bond, no bail, whatever, no cash bail. Well, we have to start holding people responsible that are responsible for the laws and the administration of criminal justice to be accountable for their behavior. And I'm sure they're good people. But I don't think they've ever, maybe they ought to take a look at this kind of a thing. Take a look at the raw video of this guy stabbing people in Traverse City. And then think, this guy had priors on him. Why are these people on the streets? I just don't get it. Well, I know that there's a panel of so-called public health experts that RFK wants to depanel or has depaneled. We'll talk about that when Make Missouri Healthy again comes back. Stay tuned.
This
In this edition of Make Missouri Healthy Again, I want to give RFK some kudos. You know, I've had my problems with RFK because I think he's going after some things and saying some things and making some actions that are questionable. I know a lot of you in the medical community are concerned because I think I think we all agree, he goes overboard in demonizing some things that are well established. And for instance, vaccines, he's trying to reel it back. You know, no, I'm okay with vaccines. No, you've always been an anti-vaxxer. Come on, RFK. I mean, come on. That you have set that's okay. And we'll be talking more about things about RFK. But one of the things I think, is trying to do is maybe restore some sanity to government control over your health care. Now, the government can provide some helpful information, but the problem is since we've ceded control of our health care in many cases to commercial insurance, or if you're on Medicare or Medicaid, to Medicare or Medicaid, they tend to then look at so-called expert panels as far as where they get their advice from and what they'll pay for, because absolutely now you don't have a choice in it. Well, you can pay for it, but that'll be in addition to your insurance if they decide not to pay for it, because they know what's good for you, don't you know? And that's where the problem comes in. Now, he's talking about dismissing a panel of primary care experts. I believe there's one of them here at University of Missouri. I remember interviewing him, and this is nothing personal against any of the people that are on here. I don't remember his name. It was a long time ago when I interviewed him. But this group is called the United States Preventive Services Task Force. And they basically make public health recommendations as far as when should you get colonoscopy? When should you get prostate cancer screening? Should you get prostate cancer screening? Should you? And you know what? A lot of us in the medical community, particularly people that are in the areas like I knew one of the world's leading breast imaging specialists where I trained in St. Louis at WashU. Barbara Monsees was the best gal ever. She knew, and I mean, when I had a question about breast imaging in a patient, man, I went there. In fact, I made sure when we lived there that my wife had her mammograms read by, and we've got a lot of great mammographers in Columbia as well. But when some of these recommendations came out from the United States Preventive Services Task Force on mammography, well, you don't really need to get it till 50. And prostate cancer screening, the latest one, wait for it, 2018. 2018 is their latest recommendation, because they go through this algorithm of, well, we're going to form a panel to discuss what kind of a panel is going to make the final decision on what kind of a panel will empower the algorithmic discussions. And I mean, it takes them so long to look at data to make decisions. So 2018, prostate cancer screening. Many of you guys, you might be 45-ish, 50-ish, and you're thinking, you know, should I get my prostate cancer screening, a blood test called a PSA? The latest recommendations from the USPSTF says for men aged 55 to 69, the decision to undergo periodic PSA-based screening should be an individual one. Well, the insurance company says we're not paying for it. They take these guidelines, and these become bean counter guidelines where they save money. People die because cancers aren't screened early, okay? And any one of you who's a urologist, or if it's a breast specialist that thinks I'm wrong, let me know. 573-874-9390. They know that these are largely done on cost benefit. Some of the cost being the money cost, not the human cost. That's what leads a lot of these recommendations, right?
Yeah, and I've been surprised, to see the different changes, and it's making more sense to me now that you're explaining it in this way, because I'm thinking, like, all I hear is, like, cancer is becoming more and more and more prevalent.
Yes.
But it seems like the tests we're doing them later and later or less frequently, and I'm like, something about that doesn't add up to me.
The point, you're right. The point is, look, these recommendations are extremely conservative, whether it's your prostate, your breast cancer, your colon. Talk to your doc, make a decision. You have agency in this, and it's really important that you employ it. Back in a minute with more Wake Up Missouri. Stay tuned. everybody. Thanks for being with us. 573-874-9390, the number. Stephanie Bell's there, back from a great weekend. John Marsh, I'm Randy. I was in New Orleans over the weekend at a conference late last week and over the weekend.
How was the food?
It was okay. It was not bad. We had some good stuff. But
how was the smell?
I don't know. The dumpster smell on Bourbon Street. The girls had never been there, so they were with us. We took the whole Body of Health team down there. Girls wanted to walk down there, about the mile walk from where we were staying in the conference yesterday. And, Bourbon Street, I don't know. I asked
they managed to hang on to their purses and their wallets.
Yeah, well, and I was just glad no one got stuck with a used drug needle. I mean, it was just anyone. And apparently they cleaned up the homeless people. We were told by a cop there that they had shipped the homeless people out for the Super Bowl. And there's only a few laying around now. But I don't know. It's just really sad. You see that. But the smell, they power wash the streets with like lemon scented stuff. And now they canceled the contract because it doesn't really work that long. And the guy told me there's beer all over, the beer drinking, and I don't know.
Probably pee.
Smelled like dumpster. Just saw how dumpsters smell when they get old, funky.
Last time I was there, they said like you should go to Magazine Street and not Bourbon Street, and it's like a little bit cleaner. But that's what I remember. I remember the smell.
Well, this time every Monday we normally talk to Scott Fawn. We were going to ask him about an issue that I think is going to become important. In the mid-census redistricting, we're seeing posts on Twitter and from the likes of Congressman Bob Onder and State Senator Nick Schroer. Haven't seen many from the, what do we call, more centrist side of the Republican Party, Stephanie, on redistricting. But it is a big deal. Bob Onder posted on his site, and so did Nick, this map of Illinois saying, wow, Illinois state legislators will go to unbelievable lengths to like wrap this thing around, and the district goes from here, and there's a sliver there, and then there's a little spike up there to try to gerrymander things to, when they're in power, to maximize the number of congressional districts that will remain with their color, right? Blue or red, whoever's in Illinois, that's blue, of course. So they keep talking about this 7-1 thing, right? Mm-hmm. And that's...
And the Freedom Caucus actually put out a press release, and of course their leader now is Nick Schroer. You said you saw this on his Twitter, but they put out a press release calling for Governor asking, I guess, for Governor Kehoe to do another special session, and they said there should be two topics: IP reform, initiative petition reform, and the redistricting map.
Yeah, in the wake of, I think, what was just the travesty of the whole Prop A thing. And I mean, there's arguments on both sides. Some people say, hey, if the people vote for something, that's what they should have. The legislators shouldn't go back on it. We're seeing a lot of problems with the marijuana law that's now is the Constitution, as opposed to Prop A, which was a resolution, I guess, by the people, which then the legislators sort of reversed.
A statutory change.
Yeah. I'm hoping this session, IP reform, comes to the top, rises to the top of the priority list. I haven't heard a lot of talk about that, but you sure would like to see something done there, or not. I would.
Well, and what you have to know about initiative petition reform, too, is typically that would go in the form of a resolution, and so you'd have to then vote at an election to change the initiative petition process. Many of the changes would require a constitutional change.
Well, let's talk to Scott. Let's talk to Scott Fawn, publisher of Missouri Times and host of This Week in Missouri Politics. And Scott, lots of Twitter activity from the likes of Bob Onder, Nick Schroer, and the Freedom Caucus saying, hey, Illinois Democrats will go to unbelievable acrobatic lengths and like artistic drawing skills to create these gerrymandered districts. Is it time to really drill down on that and get a 7-1 map in Missouri for the Republicans?
Oh, yeah. If you hear a Democrat complain about this, you need to just put them in the truck and take them to Illinois. Because I didn't hear any Democrats throwing a fit about the ridiculous. You talk about democracy and all these words Democrats like to use. Illinois, and the way the Democrats redistricting, gerrymandering, is the biggest affront to democracy you'd ever see. It makes the Republicans look like complete and total amateurs. I don't know that I like it. I mean, it's not a. I think communities should have a person from their area representing them. Mm-hmm. I think you do better when you have someone representing you that that actually understands your area, that knows that the 8 Ball in Tipton is on the water tower, and just local things. I think is much better. I think when you're doing things for purely partisan advantage, it usually doesn't go well. I'm not partisanship colors everything. Partisanship's going to be involved in every decision that's made in a political system, as it should be, as it's designed to be. I think when you're doing things, but usually it's part of the equation. When partisanship is the sole reason for doing something, usually the result isn't that great, if you want the truth. And I hope the Missouri legislature takes into account, it's not also like this is their idea. They're being told from Washington what to do. And a lot of folks are fine with that. I mean, your suburban people love Washington. It is their God. It is their temple. It is their Mecca. It is where, they always look to someone else. I've noticed this about St. Louis people. They don't want to have to go across the cul-de-sac and convince their neighbor that maybe voting socialist doesn't work. They don't want to go to the Starbucks and tell their friends and neighbors there that, well, when the wall came down, the people that were living under socialism, they flocked to capitalism. Mm-hmm. They don't want to have those conversations. They want to come to somewhere else and kind of engineer the rules to get their way without having to go persuade people. I'm not sure what'll happen here. If I had to put a style knowledge prediction on this, at some point the Republicans will not be as popular. And if you do this 7-1 thing, what you'll probably end up with at some point in the next 10 years is a 5-3.
And that was, I think, one of the arguments in the original debate over the 7-1 versus the map that we ended up with. Now that special session call is coming from the Freedom Caucus. There's other Freedom Caucus news. Apparently, Brad Hudson has left the Freedom Caucus. That means there are only 3 hardliner Freedom Caucus members in the Senate. Does that change anything, Scott?
No. Look, here's the thing. The Freedom Caucus is designed to protect trial lawyers. It is essentially a function in Missouri of trial lawyers have done some of the most brilliant lobbying in this state. They were the ones getting a bill every year that they didn't want. So now they've financed some candidates who are conservatives, except on this issue, they side with generally Biden donors. Now, it's been a brilliant move. It is the most effective piece of lobbying and legislative maneuvering that's been done in the last 10 years. You probably can go back longer than that. However, Brad Hudson wants to be in leadership. Brad Hudson's a legitimate candidate to be floor leader in the next session. And you're probably not going to do that. That's not proven to be a way that you rise to the ranks and get in leadership. I think, if you look at Nick Shore and Rick Bratton, they could have showed up and whined all session and got a lot less done. They came to play. So how many members there are and all that, I think you saw with the stadium issue, it's very hard to put out statements that represent the views fully and completely of 4 state senators, because it's complex and there's different priorities and there's different agendas at play. I think Nick Shore is a terrific representative of the Freedom Caucus, terrific leader of it, and it'll be what he makes it. If he wants to come next session to throw a fit and to criticize his fellow Republicans, and to generally be hard to work with, then the Senate will get less done. Now, some folks think that's not a bad idea. But if he comes to play, he comes to get things done, he comes with an agenda, whether it's 7-1 maps or IP reform or whatever, if Nick comes to legislate again, they'll have a very productive session. I don't know what that'll entail. It won't be as productive as last session. Usually the ones right before the election aren't. But you watch. There'll be, if he comes ready to go, the session will work fine. If he doesn't, yeah, sure. But I think if you're looking at the people that are going to shake things up next session, it's not the Nick Shore or Adam Schnelting kind of Rick Bratton, Rick Bratton has decided he wants to be the man that brings education reform to Missouri. And Rick Bratton has decided you're not going to do that whining on Facebook. You're going to do that building relationships. And I think you're going to get education reform, maybe not this coming session, but the one after. And the reason's going to be guys like Hudson and Bratton have decided they want to actually win and not whine. And I just think, if you want to look for your disruptor this session, look to Independence and Joe Nicola. He's been working on some property tax reforms, and they got some version of it for the entire state except his part. So I think if you're looking for the person that's coming to Jeff City, probably looking to race and Kane, I don't think you look to the Freedom Caucus. I think you look to Joe Nicola and his friend Mike Moon, who I think will be helpful to him. Although, Mike Moon's going to want to pass something on the trans issue. The SAFE Act will be up. It'll be sunsetting. He'll want to get something done there. So it might just be Joe Nicola this session who starts holding things up to get his way.
Scott Fawn joins us getting stuff done on Missouri politics and goings-on in Jefferson City on Wake Up Missouri.
Scott, about out of time, but for a lot of our listeners, we heard from listeners back when the Senate was debating the joint resolution and IP reform and the PQ and all, and it looked like somebody was going to get punched in the nose. I guess quick question to you, what's going to happen with IP reform at the Capitol next session?
Well, I don't know that you can really do IP reform until you do until you have a resolution on the abortion question. And the only resolution this legislature is going to accept is to outlaw most abortions. So Curtis Trent, one of the biggest brains in the Senate and in all of Missouri politics, had the idea, pass an IP reform, say everything that was passed under the old system can be repealed under the old, much easier system, but everything that's new has to go through the tougher reform. That seemed like a good idea. I absolutely think IP reform is needed desperately. But, until, like everything in Missouri politics, it's all seen through the filter of abortion. And I think until the Amendment 3 is settled, which, again, by settled, the definition for this legislation will be settled the way they want, in a pro-life way. Yeah. I think it's going to be tough. You're going to have more and more bad public policies enacted by people that aren't even from here. If you don't do IP reform.
Yeah, no doubt that abortion issue is a noble and worthy cause, but a lot of other things are just slipping through as that distraction continues to dominate. Scott, thanks for being with us, man. Next time we got to talk about windmills and other sundry items. Thanks for being with us.
You bet.
All right, there he is. Hey, when we come back, we're gonna talk about a little bit about what's going on in Walmart. Did you know Walmart's renting apartment spaces now?
Hey.
Yeah, they are. We'll be back with that in a minute. You're Welcome back into Wake Up Missouri. Joining, in case you're watching us in the video feed on YouTube or Facebook, Gail Bowmankamp joins us now. Gail, welcome in. Thanks for being here.
Good morning.
Happy Monday morning.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Yeah, must be. Is summertime a worse time for fires than winter time? I mean, I hear about winter electrical fires and stuff, but what is summer? Where's that for fire people?
They're just typically different causes.
Yeah,
not necessarily more or less, but more difficult in these types of weather conditions for sure to battle them. Yeah.
Okay, and you're with the Boone, of course. What's your official title? I just know you as Mr. Fire Guy.
I'm an assistant chief with the Boone County Fire District.
I know that, but you're also involved in rescue operations and stuff, too, aren't you?
Yeah, still operational.
Yeah. Yep. Were you involved with Task Force 1 that went down?
So I don't deploy with the task force. Right. I stay home so I can talk about them.
Yeah, right.
Once those members deploy, they become employees of FEMA.
Oh.
And so when they're down there in theater, they're working for FEMA.
Okay.
They don't have the abilities to talk about the task force like I do here at home.
Oh, I see.
So it just works out better for that.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm old. I don't need to be going down there doing that.
It's like that Arnold Schwarzenegger in one of the latest Terminators, right? Yeah. I may be old, but I'm not obsolete. Remember that one? I love that one.
Yeah.
When the young Terminator, like they're loading their traditional firearms,
right.
And he fumbles loading a thing. And I tell this to everyone when my daughters are making fun of me. I'm like, I may be old, but I'm not obsolete.
I'll remember that.
We're going to be talking about soybean foam, and it's not for you culinary people out there who want to cook something. It's about firefighting in a minute. But I wanted to talk about, Gail, Stephanie, did you guys know that Walmart is now leasing out penthouse apartments? Did you know that? On their property. Well, tariffs, taxes, margins are down.
Right.
So this story out of Branson is amazing. The contractor goes down, an HVAC contractor goes down and discovers two people, man and woman, that have been living above the ceiling for 2 years. 2 years.
That's unbelievable.
In the Walmart?
In the Walmart. A fully lived, Todd McAllister, 47, and Jessica Reams, this is in Branson, been residing in a makeshift living area tucked inside the store's attic above the garden center in the automotive section. Now, I can understand, this guy looked like he sort of think of Beetlejuice. That's just sort of the way he looks.
This looks like the Joker.
I'm wondering if he was like working on the alternator and got the wires crossed. I mean, because
his hair is.
Yeah. Back to the Future
and
science guy. Yeah.
She looks like something like the Joker with the tattooed, mouth thing and really weird. I mean, it's sad. I mean, clearly there's something wrong. But fully lived in campsite. Mattress, battery-powered lantern, storage bins full of clothes, a working hot plate. How does one have a working hot plate above the ceiling, Gail?
Well, there has to be power for anything that's above ceiling, so service people can get in there and use tools to service it. So there probably are outlets up there, but it tells me how resourceful those people are.
Yeah.
Where did they go to the bathroom?
Probably in the public restroom, I'm guessing.
Yeah. But I want, where's the exit?
I don't know. But think if they use that resourcefulness other places and how much better that could be.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I don't know.
Good point.
They're good. I mean, they're making their way, right?
It's that way with a lot of people that misdirect their human skill sets, right? Whether they become criminals or whether they're vagrants like this,
Sure.
And we were talking about New Orleans I was there over the weekend. Really sad to see people who are just stoned out of their minds. Their eyes are half shut, wanting to give you a chain, or something. It's really sad. And then you're just glad you escaped the Bourbon Street stroll without getting stuck by a needle. It's like, oh, thank God I survived. Good.
Yeah, watch where you're walking.
When we come back, Gail's going to talk about soybean foam firefighting.
Correct.
Okay, 5 minutes. See you then.
I think just local news is like the most important.
Conversation here on Wake Up Missouri on a Monday morning with Gail Blomenkamp, Assistant Fire Chief in the Boone District. Now, we want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, let's start out with a new technology, Gail, that you're talking about. I don't know if it's unique to our area, but it's about our soybean product that you guys might use?
Yeah, so it's firefighting foam that is made out of soybeans.
Okay.
And it's PFAS-free, it's biodegradable, it's gold certified firefighting foam, and so it's very new to the industry. It's very new to Missouri. In fact, we're going to be the first fire department to start using the foam in the state of Missouri.
Okay, so when there's A, B, C, different things in the extinguisher fight different kinds of fires. What is this foam good for?
So this foam is good for Class A, which is your common combustibles, wood, paper, and then also Class B fires, which is your combustible liquids, so gas, diesel, those types of oils.
What are the others?
So C would be electrical or energized electrical.
Okay.
And then D is flammable metals.
Like batteries?
No, like
manganese?
Yeah.
Okay.
Magnesium.
Yeah. All right.
So
magnesium.
how did this come about? Because you're the first to use it, and I mean they can make anything out of soybeans now. I mean I think like our shoes, the football field, what else? I mean you get on their website and it's incredible.
Yeah.
And so they came to you and said, hey, we got a product. Have you tested it? I mean how'd that relationship kind of start?
So the Missouri Soybean Association here in town, out there on Rangeline Road, gave us a call. They were doing a safety day, a farm and fire safety day, and they wanted to demo that foam for some of their customers, and so they called us. We demoed it at our fire training center because we wanted to understand it before we took it to the public, right?
Right.
So we demoed that foam several different ways of application, found that it worked very, very well. We took it out to their safety days and actually lit fires and put it out. It performs immaculate. It's way safer than any other foam that's out there. And
why is that?
Well, it's biodegradable, and so for it to be considered biodegradable, it has to degrade to 60% in 180 days.
Okay.
This foam reached that 60% in 18 days.
Wow.
And at 92% at 180 days, which is really
92% gone.
Gone. And once it biodegrades, it turns to nitrogen, which is
really?
a fertilizer.
Yeah.
People put nitrogen on a lot of things to help it grow. So it is really just some amazing foam, and it works very, very well.
Hey, Chief, John Marsh, and you and I have talked before because I'm on Cole County's hazmat team.
Yeah.
We brought up the whole foam thing in a recent meeting, and one thing they pointed out was with AFFF, it's pretty much on every fire truck you might possibly see. A big part of that is paying for the cost to get rid of it and have it hauled off. It's not cheap, is it?
No, it is not cheap, and the local LEPC here in Boone County.
What's that stand for? LEPC. What do they do?
Local Emergency Planning Commission.
Okay, yeah, most I don't know.
Yeah, and so they are working with us and local agencies here to replace the foam, the PFAS AFFF foam. So they have done that, and they are they gave us an avenue to get rid of our existing Class B foam.
Wow.
But this new foam, the soy foam, is even better, and so that's what we're going to go with, and we're going to start using it because it is a dual acting foam.
Now, is there a hazard of the older foam, the foam that it's replacing to firefighters, right? If it gets on you or the fumes from it or what?
No, it's a cancer-causing PFAS.
Yeah.
So it has PFAS in it.
Yeah.
And that's the big push, is to get rid of that stuff. Firefighters have a 9% greater chance of cancer than the general public or population.
Sure.
14% better chance of dying from it.
Wow.
And it's just because of the things that we're exposed to.
Yeah, that's
so
crazy.
if we can help our firefighters by giving them safer things. And we use foam every day, every fire. We use foam on it.
Is this stuff made in Missouri, or where's it made?
It's actually manufactured in Georgia.
Okay.
That's where the plant is. And
I got a business proposition for you. We'll talk about it after the break.
we should do that.
No.
But there's no distributors. That's part of the problem, is finding a distributor here in Missouri. So we're working directly with the soybean.
Yeah.
The people that are making the foam out of Georgia and buying direct from them.
We have an entrepreneurial audience,
Yes, we do.
I can hear the wheels turning right now. People are going, foam, first department
I've got
to
a
use
bean
it.
field.
Yeah, exactly. So, it takes 2 pounds of flour to make a gallon of soy foam.
So now that it's kind of out publicly that you guys are going to start using this, what's been the reception from other firefighters? Are you getting a lot of calls saying like, "Hey, we want to see this in action," or hear about it? Or
so the manufacturers of this foam is now getting. They put out a press release last week or the week before about it. They're now getting contact by other fire departments in the region, so we may become one of those central hubs for them to hold foam and kind of on consignment type thing.
Yeah.
So if people locally need to get it or they want to get it, they want to buy it, they can pick it up from us and not have to pay shipping. So.
What about like pricing, like comparatively to the normal foam? Is it comparable?
Absolutely. Yep.
Oh, nice.
And in fact, it's cheaper than what we were paying for foam.
Yeah. And if you've got some left over in the canister and you forgot to pick up some soy sauce from the Chinese place for lunch, you
can try that.
Just kidding. John,
you let me know how.
I'll let you know how that works out.
Okay.
Go ahead, John.
Chief, while we've got you on the phone, you guys have done your fair share of responses over the years to emergencies and injuries and all along the Katy Trail. We're coming off the backside of the death of this 9-year-old on the stretch of the trail. Maybe some cautions out there to bikers and hikers and all who use the trail on a regular basis and maybe get complacent.
That that story is very, very sad. And as a parent myself, I can just envision being on that trail with your kids riding their bikes. They're out in front of you, maybe 15, 20, 30 feet, right? They're coming up to this roadway. They may not recognize that. And so they talk about safer crossings and, what is that going to look like? I don't know. But it can be complacency, but I believe that is a tragic accident that just happened to a 9-year-old, and
I think it's
sad.
It shouldn't be lost on motorists that, hey, let's admit it, we're all more distracted in our vehicles now than we ever have been.
Oh,
That's the reality, right?
That is.
You have all the electronics, the dashboard. It looks like a cockpit in there. You can be watching TV. You can be talking on even if you're talking on speakerphone, you're distracted.
Yep, that's right. And your cars are driving themselves, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think we have we set up some of this on our own.
Yeah. Hey, I want to switch gears in the last few minutes we have because, we went through quite a few screenings and checking in and so forth. And the usual saw we get at the baggage check. Sure. Any lithium batteries in your checker? No, I don't think so. Do I have one of those battery banks somewhere I put in there? I don't know. And so you honestly think it through, right? But then we hear about these fires occasionally. So was talking to a guy on the plane he's a contractor who's installed stuff, and he had like 6 of his power tool batteries in this case that he carried on. And he says, a buddy of mine at the shop has an electric bike. The thing caught on fire, and the fire department put it out, and so they threw it in the dumpster, and then the dumpster caught on fire. And I'm like, how does that happen? So tell us about lithium batteries and the hazards that people have and that you have when putting them out.
So what happens is, lithium-ion batteries, they get damaged somehow, and it creates thermal runaway, and so that starts the fire. It's very difficult to put that out because of that thermal runaway, and you have to have a lot of water to do that. Even though you may knock down the flames, you're not stopping that thermal runaway, and so it's going to regenerate heat again and start on fire again. Many times, electric vehicles, we're not even going to try to put them out.
Wow.
Let them burn themselves out. Keep a safe distance and keep people out of that toxic smoke because it is very hazardous.
So what is it that with a battery bank or with a whatever, what is the fuse that lights the fire? Is it damage? Is it physical damage?
It typically is physical damage, and it's there's different many different cells within that battery.
Okay.
And so it runs from one to the other, and it just gets hotter and hotter and hotter until it catches on fire.
Is it because it gets exposed to air? That's sort of the chemical thing that happens?
No, I don't think it's an air thing.
Okay.
Sometimes it just happens it just happens.
It's frightening.
I know they're always concerned about like computers and lithium-ion batteries and all these things, and they say, they swell up and they get really hot.
There's a reason why you can't put them in the luggage compartment of airplanes. It's
right.
Because they're not safe.
I remember my very old Mac computer I had, laptop. All of a sudden, the battery started, like you say, there was a crease in there. It started to swell, and I figured this, and then it was getting hot, and I figured this is not good.
I mean, think about your cell phone. As it gets older, and you charge it, and people are like, man, my phone's getting hot.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that, and so there's a danger there.
Wow.
It's the same battery in your phone as it's in your laptop computer. Those things need air, and they need to circulate.
But is that to say that Stephanie doesn't need to get a new phone every 6 months? I mean, would she be safe to maybe go for 18 months without? Would there be a danger there?
I don't know. As much work as she does around here, she probably deserves that new phone every 6 months.
I don't know anyone that stays up with the newest technology in phones than Stephanie Bell.
Mine's so old, I don't even know what it is.
Now you can just say, no, it's all about the battery.
Yeah,
it's battery safety.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's safer for your family and everything else.
That's right.
Well, this is good. I mean, it's another. So now we're using, corn for diesel fuel. And we got soy for your foam. Do you think this? When you're at your association meetings, do you sense that this is going to spread like wildfire? The soy foam that we were talking about.
I think it really will. Now that they've really got it out on the market now. There's other fire departments across the country that have been using it. Yeah. But as more departments use it, they figure out how safe it is. It's gonna spread like wildfire, and there's 1,900 pounds of flour that comes out of every acre of soybeans, and so
really
they can make a lot of foam. And they're doing, like you said, Stephanie, they're doing a lot of different things with soy foam or soybeans.
Oh yeah,
including construction materials,
the
glue for plywood, everything else.
Wow,
it's just making it safer for everybody.
Last thing in the last minute or two, summer fire hazard safety. I mean, we've already been through fireworks season.
We survived it pretty well.
But other than that, what else should people be looking out for in summertime? That the kind of things that cause the things you're called to.
Well, I think we've been lucky that we've gotten some rains periodically that typically we're not getting. A lot of times we're not mowing our grass in July, right? Because it's so dry. But this year it's been wet, so just avoiding the discarded cigarettes, avoiding the sparks, avoiding the silly things that people tend to do. Can help us out, but we haven't had many natural cover fires this summer because of the rain.
What are you doing ahead of the winter with all these warming fires that you guys end up fighting? Is there any kind of prevention that you can do as a department, or that property owners can do, or apartment owners? I mean,
it's really about education and trying to reach them. But then those that are having warming fires, how are you going to reach them anyway?
Yeah,
they're not typically watching TV or listening to radio.
Maybe like a fire inspector that comes through my law office maybe wants to check out the Walmart attic.
Yeah, maybe we should add that to our checklist. Fire inspection, we're going to the attic today.
Well, Gail, thank you for being here, and thanks for all you and the staff there, and all the firefighters, everything you guys do. I know.
You're welcome.
And
thanks
gals.
for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Gail Bowmankamp with the Boone Fire Protection District. John, what's happening? Are you protecting or not after this? Who are you protecting?
Well, at least he didn't hide them in his pants, and we don't mean Chief.
Thank you.
Back with John after this. Stay tuned.
This is Wake Up
Oh, except for this.
Carlos Abundez of San Ysidro, California, really couldn't explain to a Fish and Wildlife Service agent how 14 toucans got into the dashboard of his Volkswagen Passat. Customs and Border Protection officers were alerted to the cargo when one of the dogs picked up a scent. The birds appeared to be sedated. Some were injured. Abundez told them he'd left his temporary home in Tijuana to get to McDonald's on the U.S. side and claimed somebody must have done it. His car had been parked and locked in his driveway overnight. But, not to be outdone, a Florida traveler caught trying to smuggle 2 turtles through airport security by hiding them in her bra, prompting the TSA to beg flyers not to stash things in what they called weird places. They were wrapped and gauzed in plastic, and they said one of the turtles had tragically died, but the other was turned over to wildlife agents. TSA pointed out, said, you can carry small pets with you, but you cannot hide them underneath your clothing. When questioned, she told the TSA officer she had named one turtle Chester and the other Buster. And it turns out Chester did not survive.
So sad.
Yep.
So, you know, now Drake is an animal lover. I mean, if there was ever a guy,
bird lover too,
and a bird lover. Ugh. So, would you ever, bring birds with you on a long? Do you bring birds in the car vehicle?
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't put them in my pants or anything, but
and not in your dashboard.
No.
Are toucans protected?
Yes.
Yeah, I would think so. That's scary.
Chickens? What?
Toucans.
Oh, toucans. Yeah.
Where'd you get chickens from that?
No, wouldn't the? No, I was distracted for a minute because I was thinking, toucans. Was that the Fruit Loops guy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sam the toucan.
I keep thinking. So I don't like birds. And I was on vacation recently, or not vacation, I guess I was on a work trip, but we were on a bike ride, and I told Drake this story last week about how there was this duck and it needed to be rescued because it was like on a roof. Mm-hmm. And so we stop and they decide we're going to knock on this person's door and be like, hey, there's this like baby duck thing on your roof. Like, is that your duck? Or like, what do we do about this? And the guy comes out and then he opens the door and more baby. And I learned they are baby geese. Oh. And he starts collecting them up into kind of like a suitcase. Mm-hmm. And we see they're really distressed. And that's because giant mama Canada goose is inside the house looking out the window. And so I think about this man often of like, who raises adult-sized Canada geese in their home? And it wasn't like, it wasn't.
Man, they'll bite you.
Oh, and he just pretended like it was no big deal, came out, brought and took them back inside.
Holy cow.
And it was like a small town home in like the middle of a city.
Dr. Doolittle, right?
I'm like, what was happening there? Is there drugs involved? Like, those Canada geese are mean.
And they poop a lot.
There you go.
That's
I'm
right.
Going to say that, but yeah, that's pretty much.
Wow.
As in through a goose, I think, right?
Yeah, I still have so many questions.
Well, if you have questions about the economy, why don't you log on to showmeinstitute.org and sign up for our, this is going to be fun. They are presenting the Understanding the New Golden Age agenda with Aaron Hedlund, chief economist at the White House Council of Economic Advisors. Big, important position in terms of informing government official decision makers, of course, in the executive branch, what to do at the White House there, right? They have a lot of influence in policy analysis and data mining. And so this will be at Zimmer Communications World Headquarters, 3215 Lamone Industrial Boulevard. So doors will open at 11:30, discussion and a Q&A. The Q&A is always fun. I've got a few Qs for Aaron Hedlund from 12 to 1. Okay, that'll be it. And complimentary lunch will be provided. Maybe we'll have duck sandwiches.
I think we could ask Aaron about the parallels between something through a goose and the economy. Might be parallel there.
Yeah, you're right. Well, we'll have to see where, he'll have some macroeconomic advice, or not advice, but analysis. Well, we'll see. So that'll be fun, and we hope to see you there. If you get the thing on the online sign-up, if there's no space left, email or call them, okay? Back with more in a few. Stay tuned.
A lot of unity and friendship. It's going to work out really well.
That's President Donald Trump saying, breaking news, new trade deal between the U.S. and the European Union cemented yesterday. Well, not cemented, I think handshaken yesterday. EU agreeing to purchase $750 billion in U.S. energy. Is it that liquid natural gas, that LNG? I think so. And invest an additional $600 billion and 15%, pay a 15% tariff on goods coming into the States, with what is reported to be pretty much an open door into their markets from our distributors, manufacturers, right? So good news all the way around. Now, of course, that's the verbal agreement. He's today now working on, I think, solidifying what was a verbal agreement with the UK, 6 weeks ago or so, with Keir Starmer. So, they have an agreement in principle, and then it has to all be put into law. That's, you know a little bit about taking handshakes and putting them into law, don't you? Or into contracts. Yeah. Stephanie?
Yeah, it's going to be in the details. But, certainly you don't make this public announcement if there aren't some firm commitments on the terms. So typically there's a term sheet beforehand, and then it all gets papered. But, it's nice to see some forward momentum on this, some progress. I think a lot of folks had thought with the initial announcement that these deals would come a little bit more quickly. Of course, the deadline, this, I think, self-imposed deadline is of Friday. And there's still a lot of countries on the list. I forget how many letters he sent out about 2 weeks ago saying, hey, we need you to get on board. And so the question in my mind still is, the markets had settled a little bit, even with these newer announcements. Will the markets go crazy Friday if not everyone reaches a deal?
That's the deal. That's the question. And will he maybe, if he's near an agreement with China, which is, I think, the really big, outstanding hanging chad, to use a 2000 election term, if that's, imminent, on the verge of some kind of a deal on Thursday, will he kick the can down the road another 2 weeks just to allow something to happen? I don't know. He's done it before. I don't know why he wouldn't do it again. But that pressure, that threat of draconian tariffs, just outrageous tariffs, seems to be having an effect on others. However, John Marsh, tell me if I'm wrong or not. I just want to say, you got to always temper Donald Trump and Howard Lutnick's pronouncements with a little bit of, say, wait a minute, it's not all as beautiful and perfect and rosy and unicorn as you'd like. That's true. That was true in Trump 1. It's true with all politicians. They promise a lot. They can't always deliver what they promise because they can't control all what affects what they promise and their ability to deliver it. That's true. But here's Ursula von der Leyen. How's that? The EU chief. Listen to the end of her little discussion about this, because I think it might be a little bit of a, let's just say a little crystal ball preview of what may be up other trading partners' sleeves.
We should not forget where we would have been on the 1st of August. We would have been at 30%.
Okay, so acknowledging the threat, we would have been at 30%. He was holding a gun to our head. We had to do something.
And it would have been much more difficult to get down now to the 15%. 15%.
So if we didn't do it beforehand, when those went into place, then he would have been really giving us a concession to go from 30 to 20 in September 1st. Okay, right? So we were at our strongest position before he imposes those tariffs. All right, here goes. Listen carefully.
It is certainly a challenge for some, but we should not forget it keeps us the access to the American market. And what we are also doing intensively is...
Listen to this very, very carefully. All of you who are thinking, oh, protectionist tariffs. I'm in the industry that he's protecting. Now I'm protected. Just wait.
Intensively is diversifying to other regions of the world. And this opens up new markets, potential new markets.
What she's saying is, Donald Trump and America, you tread on us too much. And we've heard this from other leaders. You tread on us too much. We're going to find other places to sell our goods. We're going to actively develop other markets. You're going to make it difficult for us to do business. We're going to find some trading partners. Now, granted, the truth is they don't have the volume of that market that America delivers, but they're going to go find other trading partners, and it'll give them more impetus to do that.
And a lot of that cycles around the whole automotive thing. You know, they don't talk about it up front and all, but they say, what is it, like in the 20-some% of all U.S. manufactured vehicles are actually done by the EU-owned companies like BMW with their plants in the U.S. and in the Benzes, et cetera.
So, while this is good, and I think it's generally, it's about time that we at least level the playing field. I mean, if they're going to impose a tariff on us, I mean, why are we going to just sit there and take it in the chops like our American manufacturers and producers have been doing? And that includes ag. So good. Hey, you want to start a soy foam distribution company? Go over and visit London, and you go over there once in a while for a conference.
There's a lot of opportunities.
What do you say? Start a little business. That soy foam thing that Gail Blumenkamp was talking about was fun. That was interesting. To be using an agricultural product. If you're just joining us, we were talking with Assistant Fire Chief of the Boone Fire Protection District, Gail Blumenkamp, and they're using soy foam, the first department to use soy foam. We were talking with them last hour. How cool to use an agricultural product. It biodegrades a lot, so much, environmentally safer for exposure standpoint to people, like the firefighters and others nearby.
Yeah, I think anecdotally, I knew that they were exposed to chemicals and things, but this data he threw out is that, they're more likely to get cancer and then more likely to die from cancer. So, swapping out some of those products, he said, not only is it cheaper than what they were using, it's safer and it works great. So that's incredible. And I think, one other I think as business owners, as we, this tariff discussion continues, finding new applications of your current product right here in the U.S. is something that I think Trump was hoping would happen, right? More investment, more business occurring in the U.S. And I think that's one way, I think, to, guard your business against all of this tariff discussion, if you can just find a new application that seems like a win-win for everybody.
This is good news. I mean, in general, I disagree with the people that say that tariffs in general are bad, like tariff bad. And that's people, many conservative economists are saying, tariff, you got to watch out. The history in tariffs doesn't always work out well because it fuels inflation, at least if not generally in a given industry. Look at steel tariffs, right? And building materials go up, and then we all pay that price. So you remember when Trump and Lutnick are talking about, all these revenues, and we have $650 billion, and, Lutnick was saying to Shannon Bream that,
So the tariff revenues are amazing, right? $700 billion a year.
Where are those? Did you see any money come in from the tariffs into your bank account over the weekend? Did you see that happen, Stephanie?
Not yet. I'm still
John,
waiting.
you see any of that tariff money come in your bank account?
I don't think I was on the right website.
Yeah, Drake doesn't have a bank account. He has to pay tuitions. It goes out quicker than it comes in. No, no one's getting this in their bank account. So the administration is going to have to try to, and I'm hoping Aaron Hedlund, who's going to be here on the 1st of August, right here in this building at Lamone, which is essentially Grindstone and 63, just off Grindstone. Okay, just west of 63 and Grindstone. Aaron Hedlund's, I want to ask him that question. You'll be able to ask him if you go to showmeinstitute.org and sign up for this August 1st. That's this Friday event. I understand there are a few slots available, a few positions available.
Some of you have been texting us this morning wanting the link. We can text it directly to you if you're having trouble. Yeah. So just shoot us a text and we'll get it to you.
Just showmeinstitute.org, and then you go to events, and there it is. And if it says online digitally that there's not a space left, there's people been hacking in. Someone, evil person is hacking, or people, or whoever, maybe it's China, hacking in and saying that it's full when it really isn't.
And it's not necessarily hackers. They're just people who sit in their mom's basement. We had this many years ago. Well, I wouldn't call them hackers.
Well, in generic
that implies
sense.
that maybe they're doing something like smart. But a lot of, like, they have armies of people that when you have a conservative event, they'll get on and register and use up all the tickets, and then no one shows up to your event. It's something that they have been doing for many years now.
Terrible.
And it's frustrating for folks trying to host legitimate conservative leaning events.
I'd like to think the conservatives don't do that to liberal events.
Because we're all working. We have jobs. We're not.
That's right. We have jobs. That's right.
Basement.
We're not sitting in our mom's basement collecting Medicaid and EBT cards. Not that Medicaid and EBT cards are inherently evil. It's just that too many people are getting them and shouldn't. Can we agree? But $700 billion a year. coming into the coffers.
That's just net new money the government never had before.
So now the government has more money. Do we want the government to have more money? Okay, the answer to that would be, well, if we can use that to pay down the debt and the deficit somehow, that's good, I guess. I still want to know how, and here's what I'm concerned about. If you follow this through, so I'm in industry A. Well, now it would be every industry that a lot of people that would otherwise buy my domestic products have been undercutting European products, Chinese products, Vietnamese products, Japanese products, whatever products that are now going to cost more. Now, so far, those foreign countries where they're produced, those manufacturers, I guess I've read that some of the importers and the distributors here have eaten a little bit of it. But they have a fiduciary responsibility, not to Donald Trump, not to Howard Lutnick, not to you or me, but to their stockholders, companies here. So at some point, when they can't absorb the tariff tax, because it is a tax, and there's not enough in the upstream shock absorber to take up some of the tariff pain from you, you're going to have to pay it. That's the concern. Charlie Gasparino, a conservative economist and business guy from Fox, I heard him just this morning saying that. It's like, hey, guys, the other shoe may or may not drop. There's a lot of other good things happening. We're going to have increased productivity, increased GDP, maybe, regulatory thing coming down. I don't buy regulations are going to be decreased. I just do not buy it that it's going to be meaningful in many ways for small business people and medium-sized business, because I maintain the hypothesis and the theory, and it's true, it's not just a theory. Big companies like a lot of regulations because they can afford to comply with them, and that keeps smaller would-be competitors out of the market because little guys can't compete with the big guys. So at what point, though, are you going to be paying more because domestic manufacturer now charges you more and you're going to be paying more? How are you going to be making more to pay that more? I mean, at some point, there is some caution about this. But Aaron Hedlund, I hope, will have some answer to that. I'm going to ask him that question on Friday. But you can ask him before I do if you attend. ShowMeInstitute.org. Back with the morning market report. We'll see what the markets are saying after this.
You're listening
Well, with that all going on the tariffs, let's see what the markets think. The Morning Bell with Stephanie.
They are on fire. The S&P closed Friday at a record after gaining 1.5% for the week. If you have checked your portfolio lately, you're probably feeling pretty good. On Friday, everything closed up with the Dow up at 0.47%, S&P up 0.40%, NASDAQ up 0.24%. Most of the sectors were gaining. The big gainers on Friday were consumer discretionary, industrials, materials, with just energy and communication services in the red. Now, Randy, do you play the credit card game?
What do you mean, the credit card?
Like the credit card points game?
Yeah, we use when we do. I think she does the plane ticket thing. Yeah.
The plane ticket thing?
Plane ticket thing. You get points, and then you can get redemption of your money on your plane tickets.
Well, there's a new card in the mix.
Yeah.
Citi has launched what they're calling the They already had a card called the Strata card, but now they're trying to compete with Amex and some of the other big players. And so they have launched. So they had the Citi Prestige card, but now they have the Citi Strata Elite card. Do you know if any of your cards have an annual fee?
I do not do annual fees. I will not do an annual fee for a credit card.
Really?
No, why would I do that?
Even if you think you're going to get it back?
Huh?
Even if you think you're going to get it back?
Because you got to get it back. You got to. It's like refunds. I never do rebates because I never file them.
Your poor Menards $11. What is it?
Yeah, I never get the 11% Menards rebate because I never send in the thing to like some PO box in Wisconsin that takes 12 weeks and then you can't track it.
And then like the Old Navy and the Kohl's Cash.
Yeah. They know you're not going to do that too.
Yeah, and they say like that's big banking for a lot of these companies because people get these gift cards and other things.
Nothing against Menards. I go there and shop, but I'm just saying.
It's a good place, but this card comes with a $595 annual fee.
Whoa!
Off the top,
Stephanie.
That's
$595.
That's kind of like the platinum cards. They're all way up there.
Yeah,
whoa! $600.
Amex is similar, but you get so many different discounts that you can actually earn it back pretty quickly. So
if you use them.
If you use them, but I think most people, if you're going to pay that, then you're going to probably want to use it, right? So this, there's lots of different deals, but they said it comes with a $300 annual hotel benefit where you essentially get a $300 statement credit when you book through them, a $200 splurge credit, which can be used on airlines or at Best Buy or through Live Nation, maybe for your Taylor Swift tickets.
What is Live Nation?
It's a concert company.
Oh, yeah, I don't do those.
Yeah, right. A $200 Black Lane credit. Do you know what Black Lane is, Randy? I would assume you
Black
would.
Lane?
Black Lane. Yeah, it's like a car service. It's like a tier above Uber
I thought it was
and
the
Lyft.
asphalt on my driveway that I need to resurface. Yeah.
No. If you haven't checked it out, it's pretty good in big cities. And then this Global Entry TSA pre-check credit, which essentially those services cost money. You get a credit back for that. And
you have to file for the credit though.
No, I think you just sign up. But anyway,
You're going to do it?
Well, I debate back and forth. I have an Amex Platinum, which is very similar.
Well, excuse me.
I found it to be beneficial,
I'm sure you
but
take
then
advantage.
I see other people that have said like, you're just like it's so much time to like try to redeem all these things. A lot of it has come to like automatic statement credits, which can be
if they
helpful.
make it easy to redeem,
I can like the first year I was really good about it, and now I'm not. I don't know that I'm like necessarily doing the math to make sure it's still worth it for me. But I do think having more cards enter the marketplace and having a little bit of competition amongst these folks.
No, that's right.
You get lounge access too at the airports with the Strata card. So for me, that's worth it.
We were running through the airport to make a connection yesterday. What lounge access? Had to wear Depends to make it to the connection. Back with more Wake Up Missouri in a few. We're going to talk about my favorite new peanut butter.
Has America been fair to Donald Trump?
Hey, welcome back into Wake Up Missouri. I have some interesting thoughts about this thing that we were talking about earlier in Cincinnati. People beating up on this couple outside of I think it was outside the Reds game, but there was a concert going, a jazz concert as well. And I'm telling you, it was just brutal to watch. This was a brutal attack on this couple. Knocked her out eventually. Several people just kicking this guy. Started with a verbal altercation. It just seems as though in certain communities, I don't know why, we hear about it more in large metropolitan communities. I mean, it's gone viral on X, and if you see it, it's just brutal. They're just kicking this guy one after another. And he's trying to protect himself, and then he tries to stand up, and he can't because he's really beat up and concussed. And then someone cold cocks this gal that was just trying to push other people out of the way, and that raises the question: what do you do if you're the bystander and something like this breaks out?
I run away.
No kidding.
But at the same time, in Traverse, Michigan, this fellow, he's a hero, Derek Perry. This guy. So you heard about this guy that was, 15 people he stabbed, right? I think from young to like an 85-year-old man with a pocket knife, and this guy takes out his gun and holds him at bay and says, put it down. And I think basically the crowd subdued him. Now, I don't know whether that's a town of 12,000 apparently. Is there something different about the culture of smaller communities where people are more willing to do that? And if they are more willing, why are they more willing to do that? I mean, people in Columbia, in Springfield, in Jefferson City, in Kansas City, and St. Louis, leaving a sporting event, they might be packing pistols too. How come they're not willing to subdue someone and say, hey, stop it?
Yeah, I mean, I remember it was shortly after I moved to Ashland, and I think it was a robbery that was occurring at a business, and there was a home nearby, and the person comes out of the home and starts shooting before the police even have a chance to show up. And I think the shooter ends up getting in trouble because, of course, the robber wasn't coming to his house. It was an unrelated business. But I'm like, that's the kind of town I want to live in.
Remember
where you
the
gotta
deal?
Watch out for the neighbors, before the cops even show up.
Remember the deal in Springfield 4 or 5 years ago with the guy who had a rifle and body armor and all that inside the Springfield Walmart? And I think it was an off-duty firefighter who was armed and stopped him from going on a rampage. And, in the NRA magazine, I think every issue they have that, where they have armed citizen.
And I mean, you think we talk about one when it comes to national prevalence, but man, there's story after story after story. So, I mean, the 2A rights mean something. They really do mean something more often than I think we're really generally aware of.
Yeah. I mean, they don't get as much of attention as all the other stories. So it's nice that the NRA highlights that. I think people are thinking twice before they want to intervene because they don't want to get, like John said, they don't want to be the victim. And B, even if you're the good guy, sometimes it takes you a long time to prove that you were the good guy there, right? So there's a hesitancy, I think, that's there that wasn't there before.
Yeah. So what would you do if you ran across an incident like this where some people are kicking, pummeling, punching, whatever, but you don't see any guns out? This is just a bunch of people ganging up like in an animal. It reminded me of hyenas. You see these things on Wild Kingdom and on the animal shows where they get the little gazelle or something, and all of a sudden the hyenas are just piling on. I mean, just brutal. That's what this reminded me of in Cincinnati. What would you do? Drake, what would you do if you come across that? You're leaving a Mizzou game, and everyone's ticked off because it's hot. It's when does Mizzou open? End of August? Beginning?
Yeah, end of August.
Okay. It's hot. I remember last year at the Tiger Tailgate, it was hotter than you know what. And
then there was snow at a tailgate too.
Then there was snow at a tailgate, yeah. and everyone's and then they lose the game in the last 5 seconds, and everyone's angry, and then someone from another team says something. Next thing you know, a brawl breaks out, and someone's getting beat up mercilessly. Just some kid being beat up. What are you doing, Drake? Are you gonna?
I mean, I'm joining in, honestly. Like, if we lose in the last seconds of a Mizzou football game, yeah, I get heated about that. I'd probably just walk away.
Okay, you're gonna.
No, I'm not. I'm not taking the moral high ground. If some guy's running his mouth, someone's gonna get punched. But if it was like in the streets of St. Louis or something where I'm less, hostile, I'd probably step in and stop it. Like if there was a Cubs fan,
but here you would actually
beaten mercilessly.
Here you would have the sentiment, but not the behavior of the people beating the guy up.
All right. Well, if it's the Kansas
fan.
game, no, I'm throwing the first punch, Randy. I'm throwing the first punch.
No, Drake.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say justifiable for Drake on that one. If it's a Kansas game.
Wait a minute. I think there are officers that listen to the program. Not sure. I'm just saying.
I'll tell them when to look away. I'll tell them.
Right. Tell them Stormin' Norman told you to.
I mean, it's not uncommon. I mean, people get really fired up about sports, and it's a thing that happens.
Now you're back to the whole discussion about the mob mentality they talk about so much, where like that, you see people getting in a fight, and then the mob joins in and off to the races.
And then we were talking about on another, I'm looking at the text line here, 573-874-9390. We were talking about rebates and whether or not you file for them and everything. Dave says, guessing Randy doesn't file for the gas tax rebate either. Yeah,
absolutely not.
I have to admit, I'm just terrible about that. I have a hard time keeping up with my work at the office with patients and keeping charts up to date and answering calls and doing things. I want to. I have good intentions. I pick up the rebate slip. I want to do it. I may even log on to the Department of Revenue site and see how. I just don't do it. I just don't follow through. Bad.
Initially, it was really like a lot of time spent for not a lot of money. Now that the increase is phasing in, I think you can actually get a decent chunk of change back. And I know the department's been working to make the process for filing for it easier. But for me, it's just not a good use of my time.
Yeah, you're right. Paul, good point. Paul says, cultures in small towns, Randy, cue up Jason Aldean's Don't Try That in a Small Town.
Yes.
Aha, I get that. That was one heck of a song and remains that way for sure. And I think maybe it's a symptom when you see people aggressively defending other people, whether they're family or not. One guy said, hey, I wouldn't do that to a stranger. I wouldn't intervene, but with my family, I'll pull the trigger right away. I'm paraphrasing. Maybe that's a cry for help from the public, saying justice system, hey, make it clear, send clear messages that if you act aggressively, unlawfully, violently against anyone, you're going to pay a dear, severe, and dare I say, swift price.
Well, and you said the stabber guy in where was that?
I think it's Traverse City.
Yeah, he had priors, right, and was out?
Yeah.
So I think we failed there.
And this was just a little pocket knife. They showed the knife. It's one of these, it looks like something you'd buy at the bargain bin at the hardware store or something.
Yeah, kind of like a folding knife.
Just a folding pocket knife, yeah.
I think he stabbed 11 people and 6 are in critical condition.
Oh man, I heard they were going to live. I didn't know that many were in critical condition.
I think that's what I read this morning.
Well, all you need to, it's just awful. It's just awful. Kevin says there was a store in Texas where every customer opened fire on a robber. Oh, I didn't see that. Did you?
No, that's
amazing. Every customer. Hey, that's sort of some reverse justice. Well, you think about these. Gerard Butler made one of my favorite ones. What was it? Ordinary Citizen or something? I don't know. I don't know. No, that wasn't it. There was another one. Michael Douglas had one where basically the little guy just says, enough. I'm gonna even the scales here. And then they go crazy and they go too far the other way and take the law in their own hands. Wonder where do most police officers stand on this, on self-defense of the citizen? And, in Missouri, we have constitutional carry. I imagine they're probably concerned. I don't know, hey, is everyone really trained? Does everyone really have the proper training, which I think helps ingrain some judgment into you, hopefully? I don't know. You don't have to have.
And the cops are trained on the presumption that now everyone is armed. Everyone you encounter presumably is armed.
Well, that's true. Yeah. It just breaks my heart when you read about a cop who pulls over someone for for just a traffic stop, and then they get shot. It just breaks my heart. It happens all the time, all across America.
Well, and the other thing that's been happening, I think, more frequently, we've seen it right here in mid-Missouri, are these high-speed chases.
Yeah.
Because then, not only are you endangering the life of the law enforcement officer, but you're, endangering a whole host of other folks as they speed around mid-Missouri. And you think, what's going through their head? Do you think they're really going to get away? They never do.
Oh! Speaking of chases, have you seen the memes? If y'all haven't seen them, it's hilarious. Have you seen the meme? They've taken an AI or photoshopped the O.J. Simpson chase, and in the O.J. car is Barack Obama, and chasing him are Trump and Vance. It's hilarious because with this whole thing that's another deal. They keep doing these dumps of the DOJ files, and when we come back, Dan Bongino made a post on Twitter that is very, very like bum bum bum. What's going on? We'll talk about that.
And about Hillary Clinton's health. I want to get you under what circumstance do you need tranquilizers? Is what the document showed.
Think that's real? I don't know what to believe anymore with these folks. Let's talk about Hillary Clinton's health and more when we come back on Wake Up Missouri.
This is
Hey, so I told you earlier I was going to talk about this interesting product I've never heard of, and this is a leftovers thing, but this is apparently not leftover when you get some, Stephanie Bell.
It's not.
Okay, so you know how when you're on the flight, they give you this little package of the crackers called biscotti, right?
They're cookies.
Well, they're cookies, crackers. I don't know. They're cookies, and they're sweet, and they're tasty, and they're luscious. And then, you know, you get a little water or whatever. John drinks what is it, Dewar's and soda? What is it you like, John? Along with
there
your
you go.
biscotti?
That'll work. Glenfiddich, one rock.
Glenfiddich, there you go. Oh, now you're talking. And those are good. They're really good. And so last night we're on the plane back from New Orleans. We took the team at the practice, my wife and daughters, down to this conference. It's a great conference on a great and moving and growing way to deliver medical services that we're a part of. So we're on the way back, and Sammy says, Dad, I can't stop eating this stuff. I can't get it because it's so good. You can make like a butter out of that, biscotti butter. And what? I've never heard of that. They make like a peanut butter out of the cracker stuff, the cookie stuff?
Yeah, so a Biscoff cookie has kind of, they call it like a caramelized and spiced with like a hint of ginger snap.
Wow.
So if you like ginger snap, like the cookie's pretty good.
But just a hint.
But they can, cookie butter's been around for a while. You had a different brand pulled up.
Biscoff.
I just buy the regular cookie butter from Trader Joe's, but I've seen it in local stores lately. It's been in Trader Joe's for a long time.
Wow.
But I've seen it around here, and it's not, I wouldn't put it on a sandwich. It's super rich, but you can like dunk a graham cracker in it. I just eat it on a spoon.
Yeah.
Really? Oh my God. So I don't have any right now because I was like, I cannot buy that because I don't have the time to work that off.
I wonder what else is in there to make it buttery, to make it like, is it like peanut butter consistency?
Exactly like peanut butter.
It probably doesn't separate like real peanut butter separates into oil and peanuts.
Butter. No. It's and it is fantastic. I might have bought like 10 jars of it and put it and gifted it to all of my family members.
There you go.
It makes like a fun gift for White Elephant or.
The other thing that my daughters have always loved is, and Helene loves it too, Nutella.
Oh, my kids love that stuff.
Yeah?
I don't love it.
No?
I don't either. I don't like hazelnuts.
Me neither.
John, do you do have you done this cookie butter? I've never tried
No,
it.
but I like the organic peanut butter, so it sounds like it's right up my alley.
Tell me where I can get this locally, folks. Text me, 573-874-9390. I'm going to go get a jar of it and bring it in. Randy, it will change your life.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll have to try. I'll bet it's a caloric wasteland, right?
For sure.
But that's okay. There's stuff like that. In fact, I should post the video. I took a little video yesterday as the girls were we were walking down to the Cafe du Monde to get some beignets.
Yes.
And I posted a video. I'm like, hey, a part of lifestyle medicine, which is part of what we do, is enjoying things like that. So we went, and that was their first time they had that. And I think it's the powdered sugar just dumped all over it that makes the difference with those things. Warm, beautiful things.
Delicious.
So we bought some beignet mix.
Oh, fun.
And some of this coffee. What is coffee with chicory? I don't know that I've had that
That's
before.
a deep South thing. Goes all the way back to the Civil War when they didn't have any coffee.
Yeah. And so it's a stretcher. It helps stretch the coffee. With the cost of coffee beans these days, maybe chicory coffee will be. Well, is that different than like, what is it, chock full of nuts? Is that a different way to fill the coffee beans? It's another kind of coffee. There's nothing like Caldi's coffee, but I mean, if you're going to try and then all these new coffees coming out with mushrooms in them and everything, and no, Drake, legal. Just kidding you. Have you tried that? You like trying new things? The medicinal coffees from the.
No. Just give me the regular.
I'm afraid it's going to mess with liver and people that are on meds. It might mess up, might interact badly. So I'm not sure. John, you going to try some of that out?
Most of that health stuff doesn't. They're always like, it tastes great, and then
not the same.
That what's that? The green powder that people are drinking now, and I'm like, it just tastes like you chewed up a bunch of grass. Like I can't get over. Oh, it's horrible, and everyone's like, it's super healthy. I'm into it. I try, and I'm like, I cannot choke that chalky green juice down.
Can't do it.
Ugh.
Yeah, no.
No, thank you.
John, what's your leftover?
Let's see. What do we got here? Oh, how about Sam Horn, Mizzou quarterback, has made it official. He signed on the dotted line to play baseball for the L.A. Dodgers, but because of NC2A rules, they say the signing will not affect his future in football for the upcoming campaign because he's still an amateur as far as it goes.
All right.
In college football.
Drake, what do you have?
Along those lines, we have this week on Thursday the first preseason NFL game.
Oh, yeah.
With the Lions and the Chargers.
Good game, huh? Maybe.
Oh, yeah, that'll be a great game. The Lions are looking to Super Bowl contender, I'm saying. I think they'll be that good.
For so long, the Lions were so nothing, and now they've come to the fore, right? No, not really, Drake. I thought they were competitive.
They lose in the playoffs.
Well, but still, I mean, they're competitive. For a while, they weren't even competitive.
Well, they're in the hardest. Never mind.
Every Thanksgiving, the Cowboys would just roll over. Remember that for years. Hey, we'll be back tomorrow. Talk with Chris Arps and more. See you then.